Hi, my name's Walter Monteiro. I'm a real estate and mortgage agent here in Cambridge, Ontario, and I've had the privilege of serving our community since 1987. Over the years, I've met some great people here in our community in many different businesses and walks of life. Some, of course, are well known, and others are some of the best kept secrets in town. So the purpose of this podcast is to share and introduce them to you. Welcome to the I Love Cambridge podcast. Hey guys, how you doing? It's Walter Monteiro here from the I Love Cambridge show. Anyway, a little bit of a different episode this week. I'm interviewed by a guy by the name of Robert Plank. Robert Plank is a friend of mine. He's an internet marketing guy actually out of California. And he talks about podcasting and all that kind of stuff. And he reached out to us just to see, what we do and why we do the I Love Cambridge show. And I shared a little bit of information with him. Hope you guys enjoy it. And also in the interview, I do share a tool called BombBomb. BombBomb is basically a video email service that you can send live videos to people. Anyway, it's a great service. I've been using it for years. I've arranged for you guys to get a free trial of it. All you got to do is go to ilovecambridge.ca/BombBomb. BombBomb is spelled just like a bomb. Bomb, boom. Okay, you got it? Anyway, BombBomb. ilovecambridge.ca/BombBomb. Check out the tool. Hope you enjoy the episode, and here it is.
Hey everyone, we're talking to Walter Monteiro from the I Love Cambridge podcast, ilovecambridge.ca. Walter is a real estate mortgage agent 6 miles outside of Toronto. So if you are anywhere within that region, or you want to know about that region of Canada, you want to know about the local business owners and people who keep that city, keep that area running, check out the I Love Cambridge podcast. And Walter will be here to tell us all about the reasons why you should be listening to this show and everything about it. So Walter, glad to be talking to you.
Well, thank you very much for having me on the show. I appreciate it. And I just want to make sure that people are aware that Cambridge is 60 miles outside of Toronto, not 6. We're not that close.
All right, big difference. Okay, a little bit more driving time. Okay, so
a little bit more driving time.
So Cambridge is 60 miles, or whatever it is in kilometers in Canada, outside
100.
of Toronto. Okay, 100 kilometers, nice round number. And what makes Cambridge different? What sets it apart from some other cities that might be 60 miles or 100 kilometers away?
Well, the great thing about Cambridge is it's a real self-contained area. Not only is it close to Toronto for people that want to be located close to the city like that, it is a very self-contained area. There's lots of employment going on around here. They actually call Cambridge, Kitchener-Waterloo the technology hub of Canada because we're located very close to the University of Waterloo. And I don't know if you remember the old Blackberries, but that's where they used to be made in Waterloo, Ontario. And so a lot of tech companies kind of surround themselves around the university trying to capture those students coming out of that area. And of course, we get a lot of different fallout from that. We've got a big Toyota plant here in the area that employs about 8,000 people. There's some really good things going on here. The growth is quite something. Our average sale price in the community here is just skyrocketed, but still in comparison to what you can buy in Toronto, you can get, pretty much twice the house for what you pay in the city.
Fantastic. I like those sorts of areas where you don't have the crowded hustle and bustle of the city, but it's also not so rural that there's nothing to do, nowhere to go. And then you have kind of the college, you have the big businesses that are kind of bringing the lifeblood, bringing the new people in. And so you have this podcast where you interview people in the community. So as far as the guests you've had, the business owners, people like that, does anyone interesting or anyone remarkable come to mind that you want to tell us about?
Yeah, we've had some real interesting people on the show. I mean, some people have had some very traditional businesses that they have, but we get some real neat people on the show. We had a guy that has like those robot fights that you see on TV. We had a guy that's located right here in Kitchener that actually makes them. And he enters in these competitions, and it was quite neat, some of the time and money that's involved in developing those things. We've got some other neat people that are very innovative in, basically trying to cater to, the way the pandemic has sort of played out with the economy. They've learned to pivot and change their services, and all of a sudden, they have, some sort of type of Uber type of competition or that sort of thing. So we meet some really neat people. We've got a concierge service, company called Top Notch Concierge. They're kind of a go-to for anybody that's kind of procrastinating certain jobs and tasks around their house. If these are things that you're kind of putting off, Top Notch is usually a great company to reach out to, because they can take care of the task for you. Either they'll do it themselves or find somebody that can do it for them.
Well, fantastic. And that's what's cool about talking to some of these local businesses is there might be someone just right down the street, right? There might be someone who's just, you drive by that every day. Like in town here, there is some house and some sign that says Jessica's house. And I have no idea what it is. And then one time I was at a Toastmaster meeting and I met some guy that works for Jessica's house and got to hear all about what that is. And so that's cool, because like if someone lives in town or nearby or is thinking about moving there or something like that, they can discover all of these hidden gems that just like they might drive by every time that they come into town or leave town, and it's always there, and now they know about it. So you have and also it seems like there's a lot of these kind of local businesses, so that way they get the attention they need, like you said, with the pandemic, and maybe that helps the little guy, as opposed to like a big, chain kind of company. They get the attention they need. And so what's in it for you? Like when you do this kind of a show and you interview all these people, people might be thinking, well, what's the upside for Mr. Walter? Why would you put all this time and energy into this?
Sure, that's a good question. And it's sometimes something that's asked of me. More than anything, it's number one, I enjoy doing it. So, just my own personal pleasure of doing the show. But it's a double-edged sword, really, because number one, I get to introduce people in the community to my circle, and vice versa. I get to be introduced into their circle, because a lot of times, these people will share this interview with their sphere, and it introduces me to a whole other group of people that I otherwise wouldn't be exposed to.
And that's the thing, that it seems so simple, but it takes a while to learn that value in the network. And a lot of times in that journey, it seems like it's kind of a thankless job, right? That you're going and meeting all these people and you're not really sure where it pays off. And it also seems like a lot of the realtors like you have that part of it figured out, that if you know enough people, eventually it reaches this sort of critical mass where if you meet someone doing this podcast and they need something, or they remind you of someone else you can connect with, then you can send them their way and they can send you your way. And you're just in the middle of this, right? You're the person that knows everybody. So it seems like a really steadily going and predictable, repeatable way for you to build this kind of network.
Yeah, it's great. And then, of course, as you're building up, now that we've been going, I think probably for a couple of years now. Now I've got people that I just follow up on, just on maybe a phone call or maybe a quick email. Sometimes I'll just send them a quick bomb video and just let them know I'm thinking about them. And it just keeps us both top of mind in terms of my service to them and of course their services to me.
And you mentioned there like a bomb video, and I think I know what you're talking about, but I would appreciate jumping into that really quick, because there's all these apps where you can record a quick video message to someone, 30 seconds, 60 seconds. You say, I was thinking about you, or mention something personal. Is that what we're talking about here? Like one of those quick apps you make a quick video?
Yep, exactly. So basically, BombBomb is just basically a service that I use. It sort of latches into, I don't know how they latch in, but kind of works in with my Google, with my Gmail. Simply click an icon, my camera pops open, and rather than sending them a written email, which sometimes can be taken out of context, obviously, when you're doing it on video, the message certainly comes across far more sincere. Certainly they understand your tonality and that sort of thing. So, maybe if they're not reading it in the right mood, maybe they might misunderstand my message. So it really is a situation where, first of all, it does soften the delivery of the message. And secondly, sometimes there's sometimes you have those people that, you need to follow up on, but you feel kind of awkward phoning them. Well, sending them a quick video on an email is sometimes just as good, and you get at least you get your point of contact.
And I think it's more impressive, right? When you get even a quick video message from you specifically, then the recipient knows that it wasn't copy and paste. It wasn't some assistant sending it out. It was you. And from your point of view, it only took a few seconds. Like you might sit down and waste 5 minutes writing a big long paragraph when you say the same exact thing in 30 or 60 seconds on a video. And that right there, that's something that, I mean, any of your guests, any of your business owners should pay attention to, right? Because if they're showing up on your podcast, clearly they are looking to get themselves and their business out there, get more exposure. And so that's kind of like a good thing for them to even use on you, right? If you're using it on them, why not return the favor?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, some agents are like, some people are using it in the real estate side, even, because it's probably happening in your community as well, where it's very much a seller's market right now. And what buyers have been doing is creating sort of these, what they call these buyer love letters, where they send them to the seller to try and sell the seller on accepting their offer. Well, when you do it on a video, you can pull out your phone, take a quick video of the family that's trying to buy the property. And sometimes that message can really deliver volumes to the seller, because, you read something on a piece of paper or you see the video, especially if they got, maybe a little one or, a pet or something like that. It can really help get your offer accepted in such a competitive market.
That's awesome. And it seems like there's, at least in my town or my experience, there's always like a handful of realtors who are tuned into some of these techniques, and there's so many other realtors that are just like missing the boat or doing things lazily. Like one time I got a letter in the mail just from some realtor that was like, hey, I'm new in town. And he didn't have anything to sell me. He just wanted to know that I exist. And then likewise to the other extreme, the house I'm living in now, the old realtor agent that was selling this house, every year he sends me like a calendar that's a magnet and sticks on the fridge. And we take the scissors and we cut his picture out of it and just have a calendar that's right there on the fridge. So you have kind of the old, tired, lazy way of going about it. And then something that's maybe it's not even that cutting edge. I mean, video's been around forever, sending a lot of letters have been around forever, but just these things that are slightly more effort, but not even that much. And then so few people are doing them, and including your podcast, including your show. And so when you have these guests who are on your show, and maybe they are not always tapped into some of the marketing techniques that work really well, is there anything that you wish that they knew, or is there anything that maybe they could know about to make their time on your show smoother? Is that a good
yeah, I
thing
think
that makes sense?
I think the big thing more than anything would be to share that experience with their audience a little more. I mean, some of them really get it and do it really well, because I mean, we've got, with Bomb and with YouTube and all that kind of stuff, we can sort of get an idea of video counts, and you can see the merchants or the business people that have shared it and the people that haven't, because you can really see a difference in the counts of the times that the video's been watched. So I think if they just embrace that, just reaching out to their own sphere would probably be, just as beneficial to them as it is to me.
And you're making me think of all these like potential ways to attack it, right? That say there's some brick and mortar business that is saying, okay, well, I heard about this bomb tool, I heard about this video tool, and maybe if they just started off with just a handful of videos, or even if they just dedicated one day and looked at what are the recent transactions, or depending on the type of business, they could run some numbers and say, well, who's been with us the longest, or who's bought with us the most, or who has bought from us but then has dropped off. And again, thinking back to the realtor thing, I have not heard from the realtor that sold me my home in since it got sold, for 12 or 13 years. And I imagine if that realtor had followed up in 5 years later, 10 years later, then there might have been a reconnecting there, or a business relationship. But there's so many times there's just like zero contact, and even these simple touches that you're mentioning can make such a difference.
Yeah, for sure. I've been in the business now for about 34 years. And I'd have to say that's probably the biggest mistake that people make in the industry, is just losing contact with the people that they originally did business with. Because what's really puzzling about that is I can't remember the exact numbers, but the numbers were very impressive, from the National Association of Realtors, where they've asked people after they had their real estate experience with their realtor, what is the likelihood of them using that realtor again? And that likelihood was really high. I can't remember the specific number, but it was actually very, very high. But unfortunately, these people have lost touch with those people. They don't know how to get a hold of them anymore. They don't even know if they're in the real estate business anymore. So if they simply use, a simple little tool like BombBomb, for example, they would, they'd be a country mile ahead of the competition.
And so, with all of this, like the BombBomb videos and reconnecting and having multiple types of connections, like there's, prospects or other business owners, things like that. Do you think about, or do you worry about competition or anything like that? Like, are any realtors like getting in on your turf, or are you getting on their turf, or is that just not a thing?
Yeah, it's a thing for sure. I mean, you've got, the thing about the real estate business is, obviously it's something that pays very well. So, when you get people, especially, that are victims of downsizing or any kind of unemployment, you're getting you've got a very talented pool of people that all of a sudden are coming into the real estate business sort of as a second career. So, in the old days, it was more of a, it was a different approach. A different kind of person used to come in the business. But now I'm finding, the caliber of people and their knowledge of business that are coming into the business now. Yeah, you've got to stay ahead of the game, because there's some pretty smart people coming into the industry all the time. So yeah, competition is always something. Do I worry about it? No, but I can tell you it does keep me sharp.
Well, good. And I think of that in the same way, that there's always someone younger or someone who moved faster or further in you, and it kind of keeps you on your game, keeps you honest. And so are there any possibilities of like a coaching or a mentorship kind of thing in your future? Like, if you're this connector and you're this realtor and you're making a name for yourself, and one of these new people come along, do you think someone would want your guidance, or is that something you've considered or are thinking about?
That is such a crowded space. It's something that it's always kind of crossed my mind, but I found that there's some really good people at it. I don't know that the industry might benefit by having another coach. Maybe they would. At the moment, I'm having a lot of fun doing what I'm doing. Maybe in the future it could be something in the cards.
And fair enough. And like you hear about like those who can't teach. And what's reassuring about this is that there are many different paths now, right? It's not always like, it's not one or the other. It's not just, can I make a living at this? Or if I can't, then teach someone else how to do it, or do those in parallel. You can kind of have fun with it and like build these other assets, right? Like you're Mr. Real Estate. You're all about, you have this property and you build it up. And the same is happening with your website, with your podcast. The more it's established, the more people you have, and the bigger it grows. It's kind of like an appreciating asset, only digital, not physical.
Exactly. Yep, I would agree.
And so, do you only take guests in your area, or if someone really special came across from like some other country or anywhere else in the country, would you take them, or is it strictly just in town?
Well, the focus of the show has typically been to assist and expose people that are already in our community. So that's been the objective. Sometimes there are people that are not in our community, but our community would benefit by knowing about their services. So we're starting to reach out a little bit more in that regard. Like, there's a property manager that's actually located in a city just next door to me here called Hamilton, and they provide like consulting services for people that own rental properties, especially mom and pop type of operations. So I think she'd be a great guest on the show. She doesn't live in our community, but I think there'd be a lot of people in our community that would benefit by knowing about her services.
And so maybe you need to send her a BombBomb video once a week until she finally caves in and hops on.
Exactly. That's a great idea.
And so when you have these guests, like, is it, do you ask like the same questions, or are there usually like your go-to questions, or is it completely unpredictable as far as the interview?
I used to have sort of a structured way of doing it. I kind of modeled, the Entrepreneur on Fire type of setup where the questions were very uniform. But to be honest with you, I found that the conversation was not authentic. I was too focused on asking these questions and was almost, so wrapped up in making sure that I didn't miss the next question that I almost missed what what my guest was trying to the message they were trying to convey. So now it's a little bit more of a an authentic conversation. We joke around a bit. Cambridge is only about 150,000 people, so a lot of times we may know somebody that a mutual friend or maybe a friend of a friend. So it's a little bit more on the lighter side, which can make the conversations a little bit more fun.
And that's my style too, right? Like I feel like you yourself get bored if you're asking the same thing, and it's kind of awkward and inauthentic. And so I'm all about that. I'm all about if there's a thread we can pull on, or if there's a detour to go down, that's more interesting. And so are people ever reluctant to appear on your show? Do you ever do your reaching out and people are like, well, I'm not sure, I have to be on camera, I'm not sure about the live conversation? Any hesitation with your guests and prospects like that?
Yes, very much so. Very much. It's interesting. Like I would say 50% of them they're okay with it, but the other half they get really nervous about being on camera and just kind of messing up the interview. So I have to reassure them that that, hey, it's just a light conversation. If something really goofy happens, don't worry about it. We can edit it out. It's not a big deal. And, but yeah, we've had a few people kind of, they book, they cancel, they book, they cancel. And then, when we follow up to find out, hey, is there an issue? And their biggest issue is this, that they're nervous to go on camera.
And I'm sure for those people that finally bite the bullet, or maybe attempt number 5, they finally show up, maybe there's nervousness for a minute or two, but then by the end, it's a lot of fun. They're glad they did it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. We try and keep it as light as possible. And again, that's one of the reasons that I've sort of shied away from the scripting, just because it can make the conversation very awkward.
Fair enough. And so it's like, I'm thinking that there's kind of two sections of like an audience here. There's people that should be on your show and people that are in the area that want to listen to your show. So if someone is in that Toronto, Cambridge area, and they're a local business and they should be contacting you to see if they're a right fit, where should they go to reach out to you to be a guest on your show?
Well, I mean, they can do it a couple of ways. They can send me an email, which is I go by realestatewalter@gmail.com. Pretty easy handle to remember. Or they can just call me directly on my cell. I mean, I'm in the real estate business, so I give out that number all the time, 519-240-0360. Call me anytime, night or day.
Fantastic. And that is on brand. And then if someone is interested in just being a listener, can we give one more plug of that website and tell them why they should run, not walk to listen to your podcast?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are on a couple of different platforms. Obviously, we're on iTunes. You can find us on the simply search us for I Love Cambridge. We have a YouTube channel, which is the I Love Cambridge again. And then the ilovecambridge.ca website. They can go on there and they can go through the whole library and kind of see what kind of businesses mesh with them. And if they want to be a guest on the show, we're always looking for guests, and we'd love to have them on.
Fantastic. And that is ilovecambridge.ca. That is realestatewalter@gmail.com. And can we get the phone number one last time just to make sure people have it?
Absolutely. 519-240-0360.
Fantastic. And we will see you there. And thank you, Walter, for telling us about your podcast and the interesting people you have on it.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Robert. I appreciate it.